Hello friends! So if you're a regular channel subscriber, this video is going to be a little bit different because I'm talking to my backpackers that are going with me on a backpacking trip. So feel free to skip this or watch it if you want to and learn a little bit about backpacking. So my name is Beth. My trail name is Squeak. I've had that name since the mid-90s when the Girl Scouts gave it to me. And I am the organizer for the meetup group Restart. The group has been around for about 15 years now. The first 10 years were in New Jersey when I lived in New Jersey, and I started the group there to help people get on the trail who are unlikely to go hiking or backpacking or kayaking or snowshoeing. And then when I moved to Pennsylvania 3 years ago, I brought the group with me. So now we have 2,000 members, and I have 7 other hike leaders that help me out, and which was great because for the past year I have been off trail dealing with a foot injury. So I am excited to get back on trail. I specialize in taking new and returning hikers back on trail. So if you have no experience, if you're out of shape, if you don't even know if you can get up a hill, I'm your girl. I'll get you up that hill. Okay? So, but we have to have a conversation about the things you need to bring with you. And the very first thing that you need to bring with you is a can-do positive attitude. Be adaptable, be flexible. So you can get a long way with just a really good attitude and just take things as they come. Just breathe in. You're gonna get hot. You're gonna sweat. You're gonna be frustrated. You're gonna be huffing and puffing. You're gonna be out of breath. It's okay. We stop. We chill out. I am not going to leave you behind. I am going to be with the very last hiker in the line. And I don't care if we have to stop every 30 seconds. We're getting you up that hill because you're going to be so proud of yourself when you get there. All right? So can do, positive attitude. All right, that's number 1. Number 2 is you have to know the difference between backpacking and camping. So I love to camp. I've been camping ever since I'm a little girl with my brothers and then with the Girl Scouts. I actually lived at a sleepaway camp. I love to go camping, but I drive my car with all my pots and pans and my fancy cook stove. I drive that to the camp spot, then I set it all up, and I kick back in my lounge chair, and I have a great weekend. This is not that. This is going hiking and staying overnight with your friends. All right, so you want to make sure that you know the difference because the focus of this is the walking, not the camping. So as you're packing your backpack, you want to remember, I'm going hiking with an overnight. I'm not going camping. They are very different activities. And you will, if you keep that in mind, your pack will not weigh 40 million pounds because you have to carry everything that you put in there. So you don't need as much as you think you need. And we're only going overnight, so you really don't need even half of what you normally would need if you're going on a multi-day trip, right? So, what is it that you need? Number 1, you need good walking shoes, right? You need shoes that are designed for hiking, either trail runners, which are low cut, or hiking boots that have ankle support. It's up to you what makes the most sense for you. Sneakers, Keds, flip-flops, high heels. No. Shoes made for hiking. Where do you get these shoes made for hiking? Well, Walmart does have, Boss Cods, they have shoes made for hiking. But truthfully, the good hiking shoes, I wear Hoka's right now. I also love Oboes. I like Solomon. I have different shoes for different hiking activities. Those are usually purchased at a place like REI. And I do recommend getting a membership to REI because they have this awesome 100-day return policy. So if you buy a tent, your big items, like you buy a tent, like I have a Big Agnes, which I got for them, and you don't like it, you can take it back and you switch it. I did that because I need a tent with 2 doors, and the first Big Agnes I got had 1 door. I don't like it, so I took it back and I got one with 2 doors because I need a door at night to step out and go tinkle tinkle little star, and I don't want that to be the same door that I have like my shoes at and my trekking poles, right? So you want to invest it. I think it's $20 to become a member. Definitely worth it, especially if you're starting out because you're buying those big items. Once you sort of settle into a kit that you like, you don't replace these things every year. I've had my tent for a few years now. I don't replace it every year. I've had my sleeping system for a few years now. I don't replace that every year. So it does make a difference when you're buying those initial things. For this trip, if it's your first trip and you're just trying to figure out if you like backpacking, try to borrow as many of these things as you can so that you're not shelling out tons and tons of money. So you definitely want good shoes. I'm wearing Hoka's right now. I also like Oboes a lot. My snowshoes are Solomon's. But whatever you get, you want to get measured at night because that's when your feet are the biggest. So you want to go and get your shoes measured, and you want to make sure there's room in it. You don't want to have too much room because you don't want your feet sliding. That's what causes toenails to come off and things like that if your shoes are too big, and you don't want them too small because then you'll get blisters and things like that. So you want to get your feet measured at night. You also want to get wicking socks. Now, I am a firm believer in the Darn Tough brand. I have had good luck with those socks. They work for me, and they have a lifetime guarantee. They are a little bit pricey, but they do go on sale at REI, so keep an eye on the sales. But anytime they get thin or get a hole in them, you can take them back to a retailer, and they exchange them, no questions asked, for free. And I've probably exchanged 30 pairs of socks in my lifetime. So you really do get what you pay for with them. However, if you don't have money to shell out for $20 socks, Walmart does carry a wicking sock, but make sure that they say wicking on it. Some people wear liners underneath their socks, especially if they sweat a lot. Some people wear toe socks that are called ingenies. Some people wear a thing on their shoe that keeps dirt and stuff out. If they were a trail runner, they will put a little, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a little skirt that goes on top of the shoe to keep the stones out of it. I don't do all that because I'm old and that stuff didn't exist when I first started, so I just never learned how to use it. But you can get all kinds of fancy, but you want to take care of your feet. Definitely at night when we are in camp, I'm going to encourage you to wipe your feet clean with just like a shirt or a towel or something to get the sweat and stones and dirt off of them. And you want to let your shoes breathe in camp. So a lot of people will bring camp shoes. I do have a pair of flip-flops that I wear in camp at night so that my feet have an opportunity to breathe once I'm done hiking for the day. So don't spend a lot of money on those because you will lose them. And, and they break. So you replace them when you're in a trail town if you're doing multi-day trips. So you definitely want to bring in your medical kit. You don't need a big full medical kit. A lot of the stuff that comes in those pre-made kits you don't ever use, but the things that you will use, I use a lot of KT tape. I use that instead of moleskin or Leuko tape. I use KT tape, and if you get a blister, you put that right on there and it'll take care of it. Okay, so you should not be wearing your shoes for the first time on our hiking trip. You should be wearing those shoes around way before you get on trail, right? So wear your socks, wear your shoes, go for a walk, break in those shoes because we're going to be on some rocky terrain. So you don't want to be breaking those shoes in on the day of the trip. All right. So actually I wrote down notes because I didn't want to forget to tell you anything. All right. So let's talk about trekking poles. So some people are like, I don't need a trekking pole. I'm going to make a walking stick. Trekking poles can save your life. You need them going up. You need them coming down. And they're very, very, very helpful. Worst case scenario, you tuck them in your pack and you don't use them. But more often than not, they are such a great help. Especially if you're a new hiker or returning hiker or somebody out of shape. They really give you another set of legs, really, to help you balance and get down steep things or up steep things. So trekking poles are good. There's all different kinds of brands. Walmart has them. The ones from Walmart are pretty decent. They'll last for the day, or you can borrow them. You don't have to. I have Black Diamonds, but you don't have to spend a ton of money on them. They also go on sale at REI, and they are exchangeable at REI. If you don't like the ones that you get, you can trade them in for other ones. So you have your trekking poles and whatever clothes you bring. Now, a lot of people way overpack their clothes. You want a change of socks and a change of underwear, and then, maybe an extra shirt. I wear pants. I hike in pants, and I bring a long sleeve shirt for at night, and I bring a puffy / raincoat for weather. Frog togs work really, really well. It's up to you whether you want to bring the pants. I've actually never seen anybody ever wear the pants, only ever the jackets. If it's really hot out, I won't even bother with a raincoat. I'll just keep going. When you're on trail for multiple days, you really don't care how you smell. And it doesn't make a difference because you can try all the things in the world and you're still going to stink. So there you have it. So don't pack a lot of clothes. You don't need them. When we're doing multi-day trips, we don't even bother with deodorant because it doesn't work. You can get something. I use Her, which you can get at REI. You can also get that on Amazon. There's a male version called Him, and it's actually for your whole body. It goes in every crack and fold to prevent chafing. And lately, I've been using Lume, and there's both male and female versions of that. And that too goes kind of in every crack and prevents chafing. So it's not necessarily deodorant, but it prevents chafing. So that's pretty helpful. In my medical kit, I also have Motrin, and that's about all I bring. I'm not allergic to bees, but if you're allergic to bees, definitely bring your EpiPen. All right, let's see what else is there. So we talked about our feet, we talked about our clothes. Let us talk about our headlamp. Right, so flashlights are for camping, headlamps are for hiking. So a headlamp goes on your head, and you look like something from outer space, but it is so useful. I often wear mine around my neck all day long because sometimes you go through dark patches in the forest, and it's helpful to have it handy. You want to get a headlamp that has both the white setting, like the regular flashlight, but also has a red setting. And the red setting is important for a few things. One is I'm going to teach you how to use it for an emergency signal, but also we use the red lamps in camp at night so that we don't disturb other people who might be sleeping. So you want to get yourself a headlamp and make sure that the batteries are charged. You also want to bring a battery bank that has enough power charges for 10 charges at least. More if you have more devices. If you're bringing a camera or you have a smartwatch or whatever, you need to be able to charge all of your devices. So you want to bring a battery bank and all the associated cords, and you want to have all of that in a Ziploc bag just in case it rains. Ziploc, and I'm not a brand snob about things, but for hiking and backpacking, I say that the Ziploc brand is the best brand because you use it for cooking, you use it for everything, and it is they don't melt, they don't leak. They really do work very nicely. All right, so we've talked about battery banks. Let's talk about sleep systems. Okay, so you will either pick a tent or you will pick a hammock. I actually don't know a whole lot about hammocks because I don't use one. I have to be on the ground. However, to use a hammock, you are going to need 2 sturdy trees, and you are going to want to make sure there are no widowmakers over top, which are trees that are rotted that have branches that could fall on you at any time. And then in your hammock, you're going to want to have your sleeping bag or your quilt and your pad, your liner, your underquilt. There's a lot of things that go with it. So definitely do your research. I don't know enough about it to give you any advice. As far as tents go, you do not want to bring a tent that's made for camping. You want to bring a tent that's made for backpacking. And they are different. And they weigh a lot if they're for camping. They weigh far less if they are for backpacking. So you don't have to buy a big Agnes tent. They're quite pricey. And if you're just trying this out, you don't want to be shelling out that kind of money for your shelter system. But you want to get something that's lightweight. Definitely look and see how big it is, because don't go by the rating on, it'll say 2-person tent. I don't know what 2 people would fit in there. I'm a 2-person tent. I'm probably a 3-person tent on my own. So, you really want to pay attention to the size. And that's a great thing about REI is that you can set it up at home and get in it, put all your stuff in it and be like, oh, this isn't enough room. Right. So I have a 2-person tent, Big Agnes, with 2 doors because I need 2 doors, and my fly, the rain fly. And I do have the footprint to it because it was on sale when I bought it, but don't get suckered into buying the footprint of any tent. They're like $150 more than what the tent costs. Tyvek, which you can get on Amazon, you buy Tyvek, you cut it to the size of your tent, and it's great. It's durable, it's lightweight, it cleans up easy. It is so fantastic. So definitely invest in some Tyvek, and you'll be good to go. So that is your system for tents. Don't bring a tarp that's like a regular tarp that you might get at Target or Ollie's or something like that. They're far too heavy, right? So don't bring those kinds of tarps. They're too heavy. Tyvek, or the footprint to your tent. Worst case scenario is a garbage bag. You want a barrier between the ground and your tent. You want to swap out the stakes of your tent, if you have a regular tent, for ultralight tent stakes, because tent stakes weigh a ton, believe it or not. So you want to swap those out for ultralight. You can get 10 of them on Amazon for pretty cheap. So you want to get them. And then you want to make sure that on those tent stakes that they have, if they don't come with it, just buy glow-in-the-dark cord, power cord, so that you can see them at night when you're going pee, so you don't trip and stab yourself. All right, so in your tent, what do you put in your tent? You put everything in your tent except for food. You put nothing stinky and delicious smelling to a raccoon in your tent. Now you say, oh, will there be bears? Will there be bears, Squeak? Probably not. I've not yet seen bears in my campsite on trail. I've seen them, far away, but not in my campsite. The peskier little fella is the raccoon. They love everything that we love. So they will try to get into your toothpaste, anything. So you have two options. You can use a bear can, or you can use a bear bag. I use a bear bag and a bear can, depending on where I'm hiking and what's required. But the bear bag is so much easier. And in the bear bag, you have a very special kind of Ziploc bag, which is not made by Ziploc, and I can't remember the name of it. But it is a stink-free, odor-free Ziploc bag. And it's heavy-duty plastic. And every single thing that's scented goes in there. Then that goes inside the food bag, and then that gets tied to a tree. And so we tie those away from the campsite, so if raccoons do come after our food, it's not happening right by our tents and near us. Right? So bear cans work similarly. They have a special kind of lock that are hard for the bears and the raccoons to open. Anything with a scent goes in there. They also double as really good chairs if you need somewhere to sit. Camp chairs, up to you. I think it's a waste, but other people swear by them. I just use a log, or I use the ground, but up to you. In your tent, you're going to want to have a sleeping pad. So that's just a pad that goes there. They're foldable, and you just put that on the bottom. And then you might want to have, and I recommend this, a backpacker's inflatable mattress. Don't get the kind of mattress that like you buy the big pump for that you put your grandchildren on. Not that one. You want a backpacker's mattress that you blow up, and that gives a nice barrier, and that actually attaches to your fold-out mat, and so it gives you a nice little space between you and the ground, and it's pretty comfortable. And then I have a backpacker's pillow, which is made from down, and they also have blow-up pillows. Again, preference. You can also just use your clothes bag as a pillow. I got tired of smelling myself after 3-4 days, so I splurged and got myself my luxury item of a backpacker's pillow. It's this big, but it is perfect for me. And it's made of down, so I don't like to get it wet. You definitely want to either invest in a sleeping bag, like a mummy bag, but again, you want a sleeping bag made for backpacking, not a sleeping bag made for camping. So they're lighter. I actually don't use a sleeping bag too much anymore. I use a liner, which is when you go winter camping, you have a liner inside your sleeping bag. I just use a liner and what's called a backpacker's quilt. Love it. I love it even in my house, because it's rated for 0 degrees. So but if it's like 80 degrees, it doesn't make you die from heat. It's so wonderful. And it's filled with down. So they can be a little bit pricey. But I go out a lot, so it was worth every single penny. And then it doesn't take a whole lot of room in my bag. And then you want, for at night, you definitely want to bring, if you're a person who gets cold, we're going to be going in May, so it's like, it could be hit or miss. It could be really warm or it could be cold. Bring hot hands for at night to put in your socks. You can put, they also have hot feet now, I think. You can bring like a pair of gloves if you think you're going to get cold, and a long sleeve thermal shirt to put underneath everything so that you stay warm at night. Whatever, your body, so, and you'll know the weather, so you'll know what to bring with you so that you can be warm. We typically don't make campfires when we're backpacking because there's not water around to pour on it if there's an emergency. And honestly, when you've hiked 8 hours, the last thing you want to do is like tend a fire. We probably will make a fire just because, you know, we're out just for the night and having a good time, and there's water nearby and stuff like that. But normally we wouldn't necessarily make a fire. Sometimes backpackers do, but most often, especially on multi-day hikes, you don't, because it's a hassle. So, but we probably will. We'll be hiking during through hiker season, so we might have some through hikers staying in our campsite with us. So we might start a fire so that they can enjoy it, because they enjoy them. They just don't want to have to fiddle around with them. All right. So we talked about food. We talked about, oh, let's talk about cooking. So there are alcohol stoves and there are Mighty Mo's, and I use a jet boil because every single thing I make is made with water, and I use Ziploc brand freezer bags to cook my food. So I put ramen in my thing, and I put Spam single serve packs or jerky or something. I'll throw that in there. Sometimes peanut butter crackers. I know it sounds gross, but it's delicious. You put it in there and you pour some hot water in there and you squish it around and let it set and let it cook, you know, and then you eat it with a titanium spoon. Delicious, right? Again, we're not camping, we're backpacking and staying overnight, so our gourmet meals do not have to be gourmet. So you want to just, you want to be practical with what you bring. Don't bring too much don't bring too many things. Don't bring sauces, like heavy, like your ranch, full ranch dressing, you know, but you want to bring stuff that will give you energy to hike the miles that we're going to hike. Okay, so, you know, you learn over time what you prefer. A lot of through hikers like honey buns. I like M&Ms. I'm not a honey bun person, but I am a Debbie's oatmeal cake person. I like those a lot. But you want to, you know, pick the foods that you like to eat and take those with you. We're only going to be gone 24 hours, and a lot of times new backpackers don't tend to eat a lot. You have to kind of force yourself to eat. The bigger thing is that you absolutely need to have water. So you want to bring 4 bottles of water. I use the Smart brand water bottles because the Sawyer Squeeze, I use the mini, but I also have the longer one for longer trips. They screw on top of a Smart water bottle, and then after I've used my beautiful brand new water, then 2 of those bottles become clean bottles and 2 become dirty bottles, and then I will filter water from one to the other, which I'll show you in camp. But the Sawyer Squeeze fits on top of Smart water bottles, so that's why we use that brand. And some people use the tablets. I find those to be a pain in the rear end and they take too long. I like the Sawyer Squeeze method. That's my method of purifying water. You absolutely want to purify water all of the time, especially where we're going to be, because there'll be zinc in the water. And you want to avoid getting diseases like noro and giardia. All right, so we talked about water. We talked about battery banks. We talked about shoes. We talked about, oh, let's talk about pooping. So a lot of first-time hikers, backpackers don't poop for a few days because they're like, they have no idea how to do it. We are going to have a cat hole digging contest. So we're going to dig holes that are 6 inches deep, and you put everything in there and toilet paper. Don't let REI sell you $20 toilet paper either, because that's nonsense. All toilet paper is biodegradable. But the only thing that we leave in the woods is our poop and our toilet paper, and then we cover it up. Anything else, pads, tampons, have to be packed back out. So you want a Ziploc bag for your trash. Your trash is smelly, so you want to keep that with your food. Just invest in Ziploc bags, the giant freezer bags. They will help you. They work for everything, every single thing. So you want to pack out your trash that is not poop or toilet paper. And you're going to do that away from a water source and away from people. We are going to be practicing leave no trace, and we're going to really pay attention to micro trash. And that's like when you open the Pop-Tarts and that little piece of silver like falls on the ground. We're going to pick that up because that's not good for the animals and it's terrible for the environment. And we're not going to burn trash either because that just puts chemicals into the air that impacts all the bunnies and all the trees. So we're not going to do that either. All right, I think I have covered every single thing. I am so excited to meet all of you. I'm excited for this trip. It's going to be so much fun, and we are going to have an epic adventure together. So I am wishing you all the very best in light and love, and I will see you on trail. Take care. Bye-bye.